It is EThekwini Matters. Warm welcome once again. My name is Musa Mbhele. This is a forum where we discuss several service delivery issues. And today we are honored to be joined by our newly appointed city manager. This after a very grueling screening process that has resulted to him to be our accounting officer. Good evening. Welcome to EThekwini Matters. And I know that quite a lot of people want to know, who is Musa Mbhele?
Musa Mbhele is a Durban boy. I was born in Umlazi many years ago. I won't divulge how many. I am a qualified town and regional planner, having registered with Town and Regional Planning Council in 2001. I also hold a couple of other qualifications over and above the town planning qualification, which is at master's level. I also have a BTech in business management. I have a diploma in project management. I have a diploma in human development management. I have a certificate development for municipal finance from Wits Business School and what have you. So I'm a passionate local government practitioner. I've served in many high positions, including the position of a municipal manager in one of the municipal managers. That was about 16 years ago when I started.
That was Umzumbe? Yes.
Umzumbe.
So, in the South Coast?
Yeah. So I've played in the space before. If anything is about understanding a bigger picture, I have been placed in a position where I would operate in an environment where I would show an understanding of a bigger picture, which is what is required in this position. Here, I've risen through the ranks. I came in as a deputy head in 2010. I became the head of city planning. I became the acting deputy city manager for economic development and planning for 2.5 years. I became the chief operating officer. I acted whilst I was the chief operating officer also as a DCM for trading services. I acted for 13 months as a acting city manager, and now I'm here.
And I think you have seen it all.
You
have seen it all. You have been in the belly of the beast for quite some time.
True.
But you're ascending to this position when our city has been hard hit, whether talking about COVID-19, civil unrest, and recently we had 2 waves of floods that have left a trail of damage. What are your priorities?
Look, of course, is recovery from such, whether it's social unrest of July, they are all disasters. So the team had worked so hard to put in place the economic recovery plan. Of course, the economic recovery plan hinges on infrastructure upgrades, ensuring that enterprises, SMMEs that were hardest hit by these terrible events are able to claw back and start, making income for themselves. But more importantly, it's rebuilding the all of society. Our people really have lost hope, and the only way you can bring that hope is when you show that EThekwini is bouncing back, and it's bouncing back with a bang. So we've shown that in terms of hosting big events that we've hosted prior to the social unrest of July and the floods, the twin floods. The economy was already battling. So the priorities for me, pre and post floods, have always been the same. You have to grow the economy, bridge the inequality divide, create employment opportunities, and deal with extreme poverty that our people are facing.
Currently,
and how do you do that? Very briefly, you of course have to focus on your major urban centers, because those are the keys that lay your golden eggs. The inner city of EThekwini has been degenerating for many years. And Back in 2016, we had prepared an inner city regeneration strategy, which identified catalytic projects just within this precinct in the value of over 18 billion rands. So if you start unlocking those, you will create jobs, you will start investing in public realm upgrade and ensure that you bring security in the inner city, manage the externalities such as homelessness, and ensure that those do not impact on the ability of the inner city to develop. So there are many projects that are already lined up, and I don't want to talk about them now because I don't want to overpromise, but certainly we are in for a good
But the
program.
truth is, I know that when you were COO of the organization, you were very passionate about repositioning our inner city to an extent that you came up with quite a number of interventions in that regard, which for me, according to my own assessment, they've gone a long way, to bring our inner city back to its glory days. Well, it won't happen overnight, but there are certain things that you can point, to say, this is how far have we gone to ensure that our inner city is back on track. Now, clearly, you are the city manager. Obviously, you are going to double your efforts in ensuring that the CBD is the heartbeat of the entire EThekwini municipality.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. One of the critical programs that we started was a program called Operation Good Hope. Yeah. And intention there was to mobilize a society around a common program of civic pride, cleaning inner city, ensuring that people don't litter, bringing in business, NGOs and other partners as part of that particular program. That program has yielded so many results. And linked to it, because we realize that safety and security is the backbone of any precinct. If you want people to invest their money, they better feel safe. Yeah. If they are chasing footfall, people must come, and as they come, they must feel safe. So we came up with an operation called Operation Overland, which focused mainly around areas that were the target of criminals. Yeah. Albert Park, Point, and many precincts within the broader precinct of the inner city. It has yielded so much impact, positive impact. Yeah. I was just checking, just in the last 3 months, they were able to raise summonses worth 2 million just by dealing with traffic transgressions. So that program has worked very well. Also, one of the things that is going to yield results very soon is to provide ablution facilities for all people of different gender. Because if you are a female in the CBD, you battle really to find ablution facilities
because they are not enough.
Because they are not enough. Yeah. They don't favor women. Those that are put next to the taxi ranks are women are harassed there. But more importantly, we want to start with the projects that we long conceptualized. We wanted to pedestrianize Prix-Ligasem. We wanted to ensure that the strategic parcels of land that are available in the city, we find partners to be able to invest. Very soon, the first project is going to start in the Centrum site. And we are going to package these parcels of land, make them available to national and international investors. Of course, that has to go parallel with ensuring that there is a certainty of provision of electricity, water, and sanitation to ensure that our infrastructure is protected from the vagrants who strip it. All that is part of one package of invigorating inner city. But more importantly, Marcel, we have to ensure that we change our approach insofar as the UIP is concerned. It's a good concept. There may have been a different understanding of the objectives in the past, but we have since reconciled ourselves to the fact that you need to be able to invest additional funds to ensure that a top-up service is provided if you want the CBD to become what it used to be, by also engaging the banks to ensure that they de-red list certain precincts such as Albert Park to allow people to access bonds and be able to buy property there. So it's a It's a cocktail of different things. Enhance enforcement, ensure that you centralize it, deal with the rogue building owners, and so on.
But CM, the reality is that our ambitions hinges upon the workforce that is dedicated. We have recently been experiencing illegal strikes, more especially from our trading service personnel, one of them being DSW, where some of our residents ended up being exposed to uncollected refuse and so forth. I wanted to check what do you have in your mind moving forward to ensure that we clamp down on this illicit behavior, because to a larger extent it has impeded the city to be able to discharge its constitutional responsibilities to its clients, which are our residents.
Yeah. You see them for to some people say to me, these wildcat strikes are around the issues of overtime and so on because the economy is bad. I don't buy that. We have seen this ill discipline when the economy was performing better. So we are sitting with a culture of entitlement, a culture of ill discipline. In the few forums that I've spoken to, I emphasize the issue of discipline. There are laws that govern the workplace.
Of course. Yeah.
And I think many people don't realize that the very people that pay that overtime require to be serviced better. Now, if you don't collect refuse, how do you expect those people to pay for services that will give you the overtime that you're demanding? So I think there we are not going to mince our words, honestly speaking, in that we are going to instill this discipline, but of course...
Aggressively so.
Yes, but of course we are going to consult, and consult very broadly. We need to engage the labor formations and really engage at a strategic level. I'm planning to get to a workshop with them where I'm going to unpack to them the decisions that we are going to take. The terrain has changed. We are no longer going to have people using municipal vehicles to block law-abiding citizens not doing their work.
And then they get away with it. It can't be.
And they know very well that what they're doing is illegal.
Illegal, yeah.
No, not in this term.
One other thing, CM, that we cannot deny is that all cities in the country, if not the world, are very hamstrung when it comes to revenue collection. Our woes have been compounded by the disasters that we have been talking about recently. We've got quite a lot of people that are indigent, but you also have got people that can afford to pay for services who are not, paying for those services. Now, I wanted to check what plans do you have afoot to inculcate the culture of paying for services that the city is providing to its stakeholders, because that is one of the problems that we're experiencing. And if it is not attended, indeed, it is going to cripple this organization.
Mine is a three-pronged strategy. And this strategy is informed by a situational analysis, doing the data's age analysis in light of the climate that we are in, economically. I've seen that our people are battling, but there are those honest citizens that make an effort to pay. We've seen how the cost of services have gone high. We've seen how the inflation has gone high, but people, honest citizens, still make an effort to pay. In actual fact, first and foremost, I want to thank our ratepayers just on that. But the first part, we have to ensure that we play our own part as the city. It's pointless to push for people to pay 100% every month when there is an intermittent supply of water, intermittent supply of electricity. One day it's dark, they don't know why. It goes on for days. Other day there's no water, it goes on for days. I mean, this is a relationship of us providing a service to them and them paying in lieu of that particular service. But we have seen that we have stumbled a lot on that front. So first of all, enhance service provision so that even if people say it's expensive, but at least they can say it's reliable and will happily pay. We don't know how many people decide not to pay because they feel the service is terrible. I suspect that there's a lot of that, although it is not encouraged. That is the first part. The second part is that you have people who are able to pay, but who just decide not to pay, right? Some of them even go to an extent of stealing illegal connections. These illegal connections is not done by poor people. I was working in Ispingo. We discovered businesses, well-doing businesses that were illegally, illegally connecting. So there we will clamp down on illegal connections, but more importantly, implement our debt recovery. Ours is not to go out and embarrass people that today I'm closing the department. What we are not going to do that, but we are doing it already as part of debt recovery.
Exactly.
But thirdly, Maisela, we need to embark upon a process of awareness. Old Masakani campaign, Bagwetu, to live in the urban area costs money. It costs money. Because you have to buy chlorine to purify that water. You have to pay over 300 million rands a month to buy it from Umgen. You have to, and when we buy from Eskom and Umgen, we pay in real time. So we don't buy it on credit. No. But if you take 60, 90 days to pay
us. We're talking about hundreds of millions.
Yeah, billions of rands actually. Mm-hmm. So we will embark upon a Masakane campaign, engage Amakosi to ensure that those areas that are there that are not paying, because most of those people survive out of what is destined for indigent people.
Yeah, true.
So we will embark on that. The city has already introduced a flat rate to ensure that at least we get something that will help us pay for chlorine, pay for our employees, diesel, vehicles, and so on, so that we continue to provide that particular service. Yeah. So we will continue to appeal to our people to ensure that they pay.
One of the challenges that are being faced by municipalities all over the country, even the Auditor General is on record as saying that it's a sketch that has to be nipped in the bud, the issue of fraud and corruption, because it robs the poor, who are largely dependent on the state for them to be able to access basic services. What is your take? What is your plan with regard to ensuring that in our city we minimize fraud and corruption as much as possible?
Yeah, that is a big problem across government. As someone was telling me that generally in most cities, you tend to pay 10 times than what the actual service costs. Yeah. Because you have to bribe this one in the value chain, bribe that one, and bribe that one, and bribe that one. Mm-hmm. People are really feeling that this fraud and corruption is the cancer that is eating our state. Mm-hmm. And if we don't do anything, we are on the doorstep of a failed state. Yeah. We have a unit called City Integrity and Investigation,
which is doing very well.
They're doing very well, extremely well. What we need to do is to capacitate them. They are handling complex and many cases, and you think that those cases would subside. Yeah. Day by day, people are daring. They involve themselves in matters that are really a sign of daring. So you need to ensure that that unit is capacitated, given more resources, but also be very clear on having a mechanism that will deal with the consequence management, particularly the disciplinary matters. Yes, we have the Financial Misconduct Board for matters that relate to financial misconduct, but what clogs up the system is that then the disciplinary processes take forever. Take forever until they lose steam. Other people that prosecute or preside, others get to be threatened and stuff like that. So we are forging partnerships with people like COGTA, with institutions like COGTA and National Treasury. We are coming up with mechanisms to ensure that some of those disciplinary cases are handled online. where you will not necessarily be able to recognize the other person on the other side, and therefore you can't put a bullet on the windscreen of their cars as a way of threatening them. So it's part of helping to strengthen the consequence management aspect, but more importantly, empower CIU. Because remember, they don't only deal with investigations, they also deal with awareness about fraud, and they engage people. So that has to be very well sustained. More importantly, the relationship between the city and the justice system, in most cases, is counterproductive, in a sense that I've had cases where people say, no, we can't deal with the disciplinary because it will compromise the criminal case and whatever. It shouldn't be like that.
It shouldn't be like that.
The system should be complementary. So these are the things that we really want to implement. Thirdly, we want to increase internal control
In the organization.
in the organization. One of the things I'm doing myself, as an example, is to create capacity within the office of the city manager to deal with the output from different professionals. So there must be a resident capacity of a team that is going to say, when I receive a report that says a kilometer is 50 million, I must really be able to know that it is indeed 50 million. Because otherwise, often we sign relying on information that we've received from others, and in some cases we've had our
to the
figures
detriment of the coffers of the organization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are the interventions that we really want to put in place. Of course, the attendance at MPEC meetings, Auditor General, now they've introduced the immaterial regularity aspect, which really begins to isolate and identify serious misconduct cases and push for recovery. So those things are already there. But when you ensure that you want to fight this thing across all angles, senior people that make decisions, that have the responsibility, also have to attend a municipal public accounts committee to enable it to do its work, in a manner that yields results.
As we are concluding, CM, I think it will be very remiss of us not to talk about this issue of our people migrating from the rural areas to the city. We are the only metro, obviously. We're going to attract a lot of people who are hoping for economic opportunities. And as the city, we keep on, having multitudes that are coming to EThekwini. Unfortunately, you look at our topography, it's not okay. They need housing, and we cannot be able to provide those houses overnight. What they do, the only recourse that they will have at their disposal will be to invade land. We have got quite a lot of instances. Right now, we've got a fully fledged unit that deals with the land invasion. That on its own is a clear demonstration that it is a challenge. And I know that it is one of your priorities.
Yeah, it is, Marcel. If you have not had an opportunity to fly over our city and see the number of informal settlements that we have, you have not seen anything. You will not be able to see them because they are built in valleys, they are built behind certain forests and stuff like that. You will not see them when you walk on land. But the moment you view it from the top, you realize that we are in serious trouble. So that is an expression of a need for decent housing for our people. But more worryingly so, we have what some people call shackloadism. People invade land because they want to build these shacks. Once they've built these shacks, they rent them out.
And make money.
Mainly to the people who are foreign nationals. It is a big problem. And part of this is, this is my view. I think I'm entitled to it. We must accept that there is a policy failure in that we have not changed the typology of the housing that we provide. we have allowed the city to develop in a leapfrogged fashion by buying cheap parcels of land on the outskirts of the city, putting housing projects there, and forcing people to come back, because people don't come to the city to just sit. They've come to maximize economic opportunities. They will still go and rent a shack somewhere
in close proximity to where they work,
to the jobs.
Yeah.
So that thing is clearly an indication of a policy failure. As planners, we should have long realized that people don't come here to just sit. They've come to maximize economic opportunities. Therefore, we should have densified by changing the heights of buildings, ensuring that over small parcels of land you accommodate more people. It's cheaper. It's a compact city, which is part of a spatial development framework, but we have not done that. Now, what do you do to deal with the problem of land invasion? We are a DDM pilot, District Development Model Pilot. One of our champions is the Deputy Minister of Justice, J.J. Jeffries. We really need to go to him and say, Deputy Minister, we are hamstrung by the Prevention of Illegal Eviction Act. Whilst it was good in preventing the illegal eviction of people in the farms, but it is not good in the urban setup, because it demands of us to provide alternative accommodation when we don't have budget for that. As soon as people get wind that there's an opportunity like that, it encourages them to invade, because they know that you are not going to remove them because you don't have money to find them alternative accommodation. So first of all, we need to ensure that we use relevant platforms to mobilize for the the amendment of the PI Act. Of course, the land invasion, it's always confrontational, the unit, but we need to capacitate them. As a choice, that we need to do. Then Deputy Minister Jeffries can also help so that we have a special arrangement for cases like this to be heard, to be prioritized, so that you do not have to wait for longer. By the time you get an opportunity to be heard, it's day 2 or 3. And once you do that, people have already built and they have occupied. The last one. If you leave land, regardless of who owns it, if you leave it undeveloped, it is going to be invaded. So we want to encourage people as much as we possibly can to build, and we will support them through approvals of land use applications to facilitate building. If they don't have money for one reason or the other to build, let them make that land available for use even on rental basis until such time that they do something. We as government can make use of that land, albeit on short-term basis.
See, the business community is one of our major stakeholders, and they have been with us through difficult times. What is it that you would want to say to them?
Yeah, I agree with you. In actual fact, for any city to develop, it depends on businesses to invest here, grow their businesses, or even come from other parts of the country, continent, and the world to come and invest here. So the relationship between government in particular and business doesn't always have to be adversarial. Government needs business because that's where government gets its revenue from, largely. Business needs government because government holds a key in terms of the regulatory approval before they start breaking ground and build whatever that they want to build. That relationship is the relationship that needs to be held sacrosanctly. And my focus is to ensure that businesses find it easy. They don't feel like government sees them as a cash cow. They must understand that we are here to ensure that we grow our economy, and it's through them that the economy can only grow. So we will protect, ensure that we provide security of their business establishments, as part of our effort to have a safe and clean city. So we really want to invest in that relationship, and we want to hold it with sacrosanct that it deserves.
There you have it, colleagues. The words of encouragement coming from our city manager, calling upon all of us to throw our weight behind every initiative that seeks to put our city on the world map. Thank you so much for watching.